Now we're going to have some fun. I'm really looking forward to this part of the program, and I'm experiencing a whole aroma sensation here. I wish we were on smell-o-vision instead of television. We have with us a lady named Yamuna, who has written a book called Yamuna's Table. Yamuna Devi, is that the way I say that?
Yes, you've got it right. Yes.
But actually, you are by birth Italian.
Joan Campanella.
Joan
yes.
Campanella.
Yes.
And you always think of Italian cooks, but you have chosen to go into this wonderful form of cooking, which is not only healthy, but tasty. And that's kind of what your book does, right? A sort of blending of the two. Good
Yes.
health and good food and good taste.
Yes, taste meets well-being on the palate.
And this is a book that's going to come out in October from Dutton, and it's, I hope you'll place your order early, because this is something that everybody will enjoy. Especially, you know, these days people are more health conscious, I think, with, you know, cholesterol and fat and stuff like that. And so we're thinking about our diets more. And this is indeed a healthy way to eat.
Absolutely. Right? This is rooted in India's ancient vegetarian cuisines, but I brought it into the 90s by letting it breathe with ease of preparation and lightness.
Now, you told me before we went on the air that a great percentage of the folks in India are vegetarians indeed. Is that right?
Yes. Of India's population, over 82%, or 780 million people, are vegetarians. Tremendous vegetarian culture there.
And now also in the book you devote a section to cooking with oils, or infusing oils as you call it. And would you explain that to us a little bit?
Yes. If we're boiling down foods to the basics, which I really thought to do in this book, I use 47 spices extensively in the first book, in sometimes very judicious quantities, but nonetheless they were there. So I was thinking in this book, if we use salt, pepper, and oils, variations of salt, variations of pepper, and variations of oils, as the basis of the entire cuisine, how expressive can it be? And to do that, I switched from making infused ghee, which ghee is fully clarified butter, which Indians use a great deal in their cooking, and that is high cholesterol. To dealing with the monounsaturated and very healthy light oils that are popular in regional cuisines from other places in the world, like Italian cuisine and Mediterranean cuisines. But I've concentrated on several kinds of oil, as I brought samples of them today. An olive oil, a corn oil, which is beautiful and amber and rich. This deep, deep green one is a pistachio oil.
Ooh.
And the fragrance will knock your socks off when you smell these.
Now these are not processed, right?
No, they're as closer to the source as unrefined, and cold-pressed oils are the healthiest for you and deepest and richest in flavor.
Sort of like the difference between perfume and toilet water, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, now how is this simple enough for people to do, or can you buy it in this form, or already infused?
It hasn't hit the commercial market yet. It's done in restaurants, have used infused oils. But I do, they're very nice for gifts, as you can see how colorful they are, say at Christmas or holiday time, housewarming times. But infused oils are something that you can whip up, do in 3 different methods, and some are real easy, some a little more time consuming.
Can you show us one of them? Yep.
This one that I'd like to show you today is a tomato oil, an infused tomato oil. And to do that, I've simply poured an extra virgin olive oil in this wide-mouthed jar and put in the bottom tomato paste and a little bit of toasted cumin and fennel for flavor. Toasted cumin seed and fennel seed lighten foods and make them more easily digestible. And then you let this sit for 3 days. Shake it up and let it sit for 3 days. And it will separate just like this, where you'll get
room temperature, or does it have to be refrigerated?
Room temperature.
Now, do you have the proportions in your book?
Yes, the proportions in the book, but roughly 1 1/2, 2 cups of oil to a 1/2 cup of solids. And then you just let that settle out, and you decant it by lifting, just putting a little bit of the olive oil in a funnel over a bottle, pour it in and let it drip through. And then you'll have a beautiful clear oil. And to that you can also add spices and herbs. I've used fresh curry leaves, cinnamon sticks, all kinds of nice things.
Now some of these herbs are really good for the system too, is that according to the book, you know, for digestion and everything else?
Yes, this is based on the system of Ayurveda, and it's actually called the yoga of herbs.
Say that word again.
Ayurveda.
Ayurveda.
And in terms of health, this is really the science of well-being. This is eating to prevent illness. So it not only tastes good on the palate, but it's really good for you.
And all this is in your new book, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now
it's in the new book.
we're going to come back in just a minute and we're going to talk about a dessert. A
Yes.
nice, would I call it an Indian dessert or just
An Indian comes west dessert.
Okay, that's coming up here on Ed Walker's Washington. Don't go away now.
Debbie Hoya lost 25 pounds fast. Tamara Kunz lost 35 pounds fast. Now you too can lose weight fast with the help of this new powerful Formula Trim 3000 diet pill. Formula Trim's new fat-burning plan is so powerful, you can burn more body fat relaxing all day than running 10 miles non-stop. Lorette Morello burned away 17 pounds.
I went from a size 13 to a size 5.
Adam Locust lost 36 pounds, carving 7 inches from his waist. Claire Contavi lost 52 pounds, trimming from a size 14 to a size 6. This powerful doctor-approved diet pill formula is medically proven to work. The new Formula Trim fat-burning plan is so powerful you can burn more body fat relaxing all day than sweating through 5 exhausting hours of aerobics. Terry Nigelson burned away 15 pounds. Joanne Benora lost 32 pounds. And Annette Barton lost an incredible and amazing 59 pounds. Now you can burn away fat and lose weight fast by calling 1-800-648-3900 for your powerful new Formula Trim 3000 for only $9.95. We accept personal check and credit card orders by phone. Call 1-800-648-3900 now to order your 3-week supply for only $9.95. Call right now and receive your Swedish cellulite cream absolutely free. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Remember, have your checkbook or credit card ready when calling. That's 1-800-648-3900. Call now.
And we're talking to Yamuna about her new book, Yamuna's Table, a book that took her, she was telling me, 3 years to prepare, all about flavor and good health. And what do we have here? We're going to work on desserts.
Yes.
Now, the question is, a lot of people are working these days. Now, these things that they have to make from scratch, or can a working person do this in a hurry, you think?
That's the aim of the book. That's absolutely the aim of the book. Light, healthy, and quick. And we're going to start off with a wonderful variation of a Gujarati dish in India that's made out of homemade yogurt cheese. And while, of course, one doesn't think of making cheese at home, it's so simple. All you do is take yogurt, spoon it into a colander that has been lined with a few thicknesses of white paper towels, and spread it out a little bit. 4 cups of yogurt will yield about 1 3/4 cups of yogurt cheese. Cover it. Put it in the refrigerator and let it drain for 24 hours, and you'll get a lovely firm cheese. Of course, the texture and the flavor of the cheese depends on the texture and flavor of that yogurt.
Right.
So you want to get a nice, mild, fresh yogurt to start with, or you'll have a tart cheese.
Now,
in the
that would be
end.
lower in cholesterol content than a regular cheese that you buy, processed cheese, right?
Oh, it's lower in fat, especially
fat.
lower in fat grams. That's the idea. And when you're finished with that, you're going to come out with something like this, a light, fluffy, cream cheese-like texture. And to that, the 2 traditional ingredients that are added to the yogurt cheese are saffron and cardamom, both beautiful, warm. They lend warmth to a dish. And then it's sweetened with this really nice sweetener, which is nothing but pulverized, dried, ground dates.
Oh, really?
Date sugar.
Let me back up.
Absolutely.
What was that second spice that you mentioned?
Cardamom.
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 Which is...
Cardamom. Cardamom is a widely used spice in the world. It has a very peppery eucalyptus overtones. I use a lot in Indian sweets, a tremendous amount. So to the, say, 2 cups of a yogurt cheese, we'd add, maybe 1/3 of a cup of date sugar, So this is totally unrefined.
I can smell the date.
Sweet.
Yeah.
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 Really nice. It has a beautiful aroma. Simply mix that in. Now this would be served in India with maybe a little sweet cracker to offset it, or a deep fried bread. But in the book, all I've suggested is doing a puree of fresh fruit, say, a little passion fruit puree or raspberry puree, or simply spoon it into a goblet and make it a light dessert garnished with a little bit of raspberries. And this is really the best when it's nice and well chilled. And another idea that I have for this dessert is to take this and put it in a baked flan. Spread it around the top on the inside of the flan, like a filling, half filling, half frosting, and then cover that with fresh fruit as well.
Oh boy. Now, can you get all these ingredients at your local neighborhood supermarket? Do we have to shop around a lot to, specialty stores or
Good
health food
question.
stores, or what do
That
we
was one of the goals of this book, was to take people away from having to shop in an Indian grocery store to make the dishes in the book. But I must say that I head for large health food supermarkets, which have a really good quality of foods, and especially the new availability of organic foods. So if you can find one of those in your city, that's good. Otherwise, a good supermarket will suffice for everything in the book.
The spices and stuff, you can get like McCormick over in Baltimore, and they make all those spices.
They're wonderful.
They have all that stuff.
McCormick Schillick gave all the spices for the book, and I used them exclusively in recipe testing, so I know that they're available for everyone to use.
Very good. So that's why the book took 3 years. You spent a lot of time testing all these things, huh?
Yes, that's right. So this is the beautiful flan. Just garnish it with a little bit of toasted almonds, and that's it.
That is quite interesting, quite interesting. Now, I didn't mention when we introduced you that you are right now living in Washington for the time being, and that among your accomplishments you were a musician at one time, and you had a hit record in Europe, and that's how you got to meet the Beatles, because you worked for their record company, is that right?
In the 60s.
And you cooked for them?
Yeah, well, we became friends with George first. He was the first Beatle that we met in England, and then from then we met the rest of them. Actually lived at John Lennon's estate, at Tittenhurst Estate, for a few months in the rainy season.
They're
69.
They're into this type of cooking too, they like, do you think?
Oh, yes. Most of them were vegetarian at the time. And George, I believe, still is, off and on anyway. And Paul and Linda are rather vegetarian advocates in England now. But
well, vegetarian, there's mixed opinions on that. Some people say that aren't vegetarian say, well, do you get all the all the protein and everything that you need without eating meat and so forth? And what do you answer to that?
well, this vegetarian tradition that I've been studying, the largest vegetarian culture in the world from India, has sustained for literally millennia. People on this diet. And now as we move into the 90s, every decade from the 60s, 70s, and 80s has come closer to realizing this protein myth that you don't have to have humongous quantities of protein to live, and it's all available by food combining.
So as we're into the 90s, you think this is going to progress and will become more and more common to eat this type of cuisine?
Without even being called vegetarian, simply by dropping down the high-fat, high-cholesterol foods, you come closer to vegetarian diet. Vegetarian diet is very healthy.
Now, what else do you have for us here today?
The other dish that I wanted to show is a really simple dessert, and I got yesterday, a friend in Florida sent me some beautiful organic pineapples, so I brought them to show. And in the food stalls in India, fruit stalls, sometimes you'll find mounds of beautiful pineapples, all lovely, carved on the side, and the fragrance just hits you in the face.
Are they sort of like farmers markets, the food
Yeah,
stalls?
bustling bazaars, the old bazaars, and they're all through Europe and the Middle East and India, of course. But
It smells delicious. I can smell it.
isn't it fragrant?
Yeah,
Beautifully
it's wonderful.
fragrant. And in India, they would eat this with a spice blend called chat masala. Chat masala is it has black salt in it, which gives a certain taste. Lime juice.
Sounds like chutney in there. The first food. Is there any chutney in there? I mean, that is chutney. I mean,
It's a dry chutney. Actually,
chutney.
the chat masala, chat is the name of it, and masala means a blend of
I see.
spices and herbs. So masala, chutney can be dry, as in the case of just herbs, or it can be moist with tomatoes or ginger, or a paste of a liquid ingredient. But all we're going to do with this is use a beautiful fresh pepper from the the southwestern coast of India called Malabar pepper. And Malabar and Tellicherry are two of the most wonderful peppers in the world. So all we're going to do is a few grindings of Malabar pepper on this.
This seems like a kind of a strange combination of things, but it smells delicious.
And a little bit of herb salt. I use herb salt to cut down on salt content. If it's about 40-50% herbs, you can buy them in the market, or you can make them at home. There's also recipes for that. And just a sprinkle of it instead of the chaat masala. You can do with or without. If you don't take salt, fine.
Now that would cut down on some of the acidic qualities of the pineapple, is that right? That's what
No, the quality, this is simply for taste.
just for taste.
Pineapple is
No
either
health
good,
risk.
bad, or ugly. You've got to get a good pineapple.
Okay.
And finish off with just a little drizzle of maple syrup.
Ooh.
And that would be similar to the beautiful sweetener that is used in India, an unrefined sweetener called gur.
And I smell some mint.
And then finish it with mint and a little bit of lime juice.
That is wonderful.
And this can be made ahead and just sit, so it's an absolute no-fuss summer
Maple
dessert.
mint.
Isn't
yeah.
it lovely?
Now, once again, let me remind everybody, this book is not quite out yet, but it is coming. It's Yamuna's Table, and you'll look for it at major bookstores, is that right?
Yes, right
From
now,
Dutton?
2 of the chains have bought the book, and so it should be widely available in
And
the
yeah,
fall.
all the stuff that you talked about, plus a lot more, will be in there with all the lists of the herbs and the spices and everything we need to know, huh?
Yes.
Yamuna, thank you very much.
Thank you
This
so
has
much.
been delightful to talk to
really
you.
delightful to be
and
here.
this has been a delight to smell as well as to visit.
I'm
I'll tell
anxious
you.
for you to taste it all now.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
And we hope that you will all join us again next week for more of Ed Walker's Washington. This will be a tough act to follow, but we'll be back next week, okay?
Did you know there's a way you can give your children up to $600,000 tax-free? Stay tuned and find out how.